Everybody's talking at the comic spot. The comic spot. The comic spot. Everybody's talking at the comic spot. The comic spot.
Well, Facebook people, I have a treat for you. Let me do the background and the intro, and then I'll bring on our guest here. You see him over there in that other square. Yes, sirree, Bub. You probably recognize him. I'll tell you his intro in a second. But I want you to know, I'm not always very woke. I'm not. I've never watched Mrs. Maisel. I've never watched Orange is the New Black. I turn on Instagram. I see this gentleman here. And the second I saw him, I said, I have to interview him. And then I find out who he is. Oh my gosh, you guys, are you in for an amazing treat? I love him and I don't even know him yet. Here we go with his intro. Ben Curtis. Ben is an award-winning actor. I can't memorize this. I got to read it. Ben is an award-winning actor, musician, and public speaker and life coach. He's been recognized worldwide, not only for his work as a performer, but more importantly for spreading, I always yell, for spreading the message of healing, compassion, and never giving up on your dream. His comeback story, this guy is just right up my alley. His comeback story is remarkable. A preacher's son from the South, moving to New York City to pursue his dream of acting, becoming an overnight success as the world's most sought-after spokesperson, Stephen the Dell Dude, to surviving September 11th, overcoming PTSD, addiction, to starting his own wellness company. My gosh. Now, not only can you catch him on such Emmy award-winning shows as The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel and Orange is the New Black, you can catch him in action as a personal freedom and empowerment coach, supporting people every day in their self-sabotage, low self-esteem, courage, confidence, owning their light, and pursuing their dreams. He's been featured, get a load of this, in People Magazine, Good Morning America, The Tonight Show, Fox, NBC, ABC, and more. To learn, go to linktr.ee/Ben Curtis. I'll put it up later. He's on Instagram as Ben Curtis Official, IMDB, Ben Curtis. I don't know what YT is. YouTube. Jeez, Ben Curtis. You guys, give it up for Ben Curtis being here. Woo! Hi, Ben.
Thank you so much. That was an incredible introduction. Probably the best one I've ever had. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to be here, Linda.
I'm so delighted. I don't know where to start with you. I'm like, and you're not a comedian after all of that in your life?
I've been a comedian. I've done stand-up comedy. I have. I mean, comedy is one of my favorite things. So.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Oh my gosh. You know, I don't go around and snoop, you know, obviously if I just turn on Instagram and invite you, but oh my gosh. So talk to me about growing up and what things did you go into first? Tell me about this trajectory of your life from the beginning to now. You talk.
Oh my gosh. Well, it depends on how long we have. I'll try to give you the short version.
I can go a max of 30 minutes.
Okay. I mean, really, I was born to a Episcopalian priest in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and a mom who was a French teacher, and both my parents had traveled a lot, but they both grew up in the South and they met there. But the interesting thing was, even though we were sort of this cookie cutter middle class family, and I have a big sister, we were the black sheep everywhere. So my parents were pretty much the only Democrats I knew, like the only Episcopalians who, you know, they call us Catholic light, like the hippie Catholics, the ones that are always raising hell, but have the like structured service. You know, my dad ended up coming out when he was 50. I was about 12 years old. He was able to, after my parents' divorce, came to terms with his sexuality, and that was a big turning point. but really I was born in this family. And also my dad, he would like play guitar for me growing up. There's a piano in our house. My mom was always, into French culture and studying that. My older sister was really into music and dance. And she was always like, my parents had pretty bad music taste. The only record they owned, I think was okay. Like Starlight Express from Broadway, the show that no one knew about in London, like 40 years ago, the musical about a train, and maybe like a Peter, Paul and Mary record, which I loved, but mostly we would just listen to NPR and like Prairie Home Companion. But my sister like I got all her cassette tapes. Like she was the one that turned me on to like 10,000 Maniacs and Billy Idol and Michael Jackson and then later years like Ani DeFranco and Indigo Girls and Arrested Development and all these groups that were really trying to change. And she really gave me a lot of culture. And then my dad also, true story, no racism here, believes that he was Black in his last life. My dad believes in past lives. My dad is a very spiritual dude. He loves Black people, like loves, because being gay in the South, it's not the same, but a lot of his best friends growing up were Black, and he saw the suffering throughout the civil rights movement, and he knew what it was to be oppressed and not be able to be yourself. And he really fought for that. And so as a minister, what was really cool growing up is my father also on Martin Luther King Day every year would make sure that our church went and sat in an all Black Baptist church and that we would worship with them. And then we would bring them into our church so that we don't just be these like different kind of races and churches together. We actually come together to worship God, because my dad also believed God was a very loving God. He nurtured me. He encouraged me to go to synagogue with my best friends growing up. He put me in this school where we kind of all learned at our own pace and celebrated all religions. So like, I mean, that's rare anywhere, but in Chattanooga, Tennessee in 1980, so I ended up playing, like my best friend growing up was Black. I played in an all Black baseball league. I traveled when I was 11 years old. I went to a camp with kids from all over the world in Denmark. And my parents moved to England. They traded churches with this priest there. And we lived in England and France when I was 7. I came back doing accents. And there was also inside of this, you can imagine if there is a man who's the head of a household, right? That's what we'll call it, like patriarchy. Let's just call it what it is back then. And being the priest, and the head of the church, and that pressure, and then also being gay and not being able to really be at terms with that, also wanting to be, in love with a woman and a father of children, and coming to terms with sexual abuse. And my mother actually, there's a long history of depression on both sides of my family. And with suffering comes comedy too. And my mother had been in a lot of suffering. And her father had committed suicide. So she had also like brought a lot of that in. And my parents also were in therapy. So that was also really rare back then. So I also went to therapy at a young age. So I was really, my mom, and I was super sensitive dude. I saw my dad up on the pulpit and immediately he brought joy to people. I was like, I want that. And I became a performer. I saw David Copperfield. I had a chance to meet him and I started doing magic for my family. And suddenly it was lightening the mood in my house. And any pain I was feeling as a child, children are so intuitive, like subconsciously, they just know, even more than adults know about themselves sometimes. And I was creating this performance to help, I think, heal in our family. And that just worked. And I was really good at it. And I came back from England, like, being able to do a British accent. Everyone would say, oh, Ben, do your accent for me. And I'd be like, do you care for a cup of tea? And I was 7 and I was watching English television. Then suddenly I could do a French accent because I was studying with my mom. And then I could do Australian accents. And then I could do like Irish accent. And then it was just like all these accents started growing. I had a great ear, started playing music, had a great music teacher that cultivated me into that. And it was just like, performance was going to be my saving grace. And then I got into the school of my dreams, and that was New York University. But my dad didn't know how to. We had one actor in our family, and she was on this soap opera called Loving back in the day, and Bryan Cranston was on it with her. So like I would go to her house, and this guy James Kybert, who was the star of All My Children, he played Trevor. We would go to this to my cousin's house in New York, and driving from Tennessee. It was very glamorous, and her friends would be, Bryan Cranston. We didn't know who he was back then. He would be popping over, and the All My Children crew would be over, and I was like, Dad, I think I want to go here. He didn't know how to tell me we couldn't afford it. It was like a teacher salary and a pre-salary. My parents did not pursue. They pursued their dreams, but neither of them had great relationships for how to take care of money and go out and really value themselves. And just money wasn't valued, I guess. It was more about, well, we'll struggle to do what we love. And I inherited that too. So long story short, I didn't give up, and I got an acting scholarship at NYU, and the rest we took out in loans. And I think it felt right. And within the fact that I got into that school, they accept 2% of applicants into the acting program. And it was a dream come true. And I knew that it was going to take years to get an agent. So I fought hard. You're not supposed to audition when you're in a full-time acting conservatory, but I started auditioning. And I want to say within like 3 months, I had booked 3 different roles, and I had a manager. I was walking into offices and handing my, black and white headshot right up to the desk and saying like, hey, I go to NYU. I'm really serious about this. I'm good. I need an agent. I somehow got I talked my way into an agency at one point. And I even did a little modeling. I was just like, let's do it, New York, and eventually, I think within 3 months, I had convinced a friend to introduce me to his manager, and I had an audition for the Dell computer commercial, and no one saw that coming either. I mean, I was 20 years old or 19. I was the only guy there without my mom. There was a bunch of 13 to 17-year-olds. I had all this pain I knew how to call from, but I also had this great comedy. And my dad and I also, we used to watch like British television and British humor and all those things. And so I really understood timing and things. But anyway, I got the part, and it became an overnight success. It was like, I think within 3 years, I had made almost 6 figures. So to a 20-year-old who didn't know how to manage money, was having a lot of fame, that was like a lot to handle. And it literally, like suddenly I couldn't go outside without being recognized. And yet I was still trying to be taken seriously. I was still a student at NYU and Tisch, and my classmates were treating me differently, and my friends were, and my family, and then things started to get kind of tumultuous and contentious. I think you can't train anyone for fame. You really can't. And it just it doesn't make things better. It just kind of pours gasoline on whatever fire's there. So if if the fire has some dangerous parts, it could get worse. And unfortunately, that was kind of my story. I think I started to move towards, I was getting scared, and I was starting to get in. It was a little bit of substance abuse was happening. There's a lot of addiction in our family too, and codependency. And I think, we can use anything to not deal with ourselves, our feelings, food, sex, relationships, phones, computers, whatever, but it got kind of bad. And then I was doing well, and I moved into my own apartment in the financial district. And it was like, I felt like adults, and I'd done this incredible program in the World Trade Center at Landmark Worldwide, which is a personal growth and development organization, like the biggest one in the world. Kind of like if you don't know who they are, it's like the Tony Robbins kind of training of like stepping into your power, owning your integrity, cleaning up your past, and stop being a victim, and living for like being open and creating new spaces of opportunity for yourself and healing from the past. And so that was really profound. And in that workshop, I saw
I've gone through Landmark.
Oh, you have? Cool. So you know it.
Yeah, so I have that connection with you and a ton of other stuff you've said.
Cool.
Yeah, we have a lot more connection
as we go.
Yeah.
But you know, that was eye-opening. I healed my relationship with my father around that. He became my best friend. I started going to like gay bars with him, and like we would go to this like Sunday gospel drag brunch in Atlanta in a bar and like listen to drag queens sing gospel. And we'd go to like gay country live dancing places together. And I think as a sensitive guy who really had a sensitive father, it was nice to have that nourished in me. And my mom also really encouraged me to talk about my feelings. And all this to be said, I had a really big shift in my mindset. And then September 11th happened. And I had a view of it from my bed. I was 2 blocks away, and I was then outside, and I thought I had lost my best friend and my roommate. And I saw a lot of death and destruction that day. And it, again, something you can't train or prepare for. I mean, even you see how soldiers train their whole lives and still come back really, really messed up with a lot of mental illness. And so that really...
I'm a soldier with PTSD.
You are?
Mm-hmm.
You're a veteran?
Yeah. I've got PTSD from male sexual trauma.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So we have so much in common. You have no idea.
Well, thank you for sharing that, Linda. I don't want to step over that. That's just to be able to speak your truth and say that out loud, I hope is healing for some. Some people are like, what? You can't just say that in the middle of the interview. But Linda, that takes a lot of courage, and it shows me that you've done some healing to be able to say that out loud and own it. And I think that's how we heal, is by having these conversations.
You can't hold these things in.
Yeah, not at all. And so that really led to a lot more substance abuse. Unfortunately, I could not have been really more famous at the time. Maybe a little bit, but I mean, maybe internationally, but like nationally, I was on the Tonight Show, the Good Morning America, like everywhere you looked. I was on TV all day long. I was, interview, and especially after surviving 9/11 and helping save some lives that day. I was an Eagle Scout, and all that training kicked in. There's a great little story here. So I was running when the towers collapsed. I was trapped underground, and there's a lot of, I won't go into all the details, but basically at some point I broke out, and we were all running for safety somewhere, and just covered in soot. I didn't have, like, my shirt was wrapped around my face to help us breathe, and it was horrible. And I was trying to find a way out, and suddenly it was like this bus was in front of me, and this guy was like, get on. And I was like, where are you going? He was like, uptown, we're getting the hell out of here, get on. Everyone's like, it feels like the apocalypse. And I asked him if we can please stop at Union Square, where I was in college, so I could see my friends, because I thought my roommate was dead. He had gone to photograph the thing, and the guy was like, hey, I'm not stopping for anybody. And I was like, okay, I'm crying. I didn't I was scared. And he goes, wait a second, are you the Dell guy? He's like, dude, I love your commercials. It's September 11th, like an hour after the glass tower fell. We're just like in death and destruction. And I'm like, oh my God, not now, please. Like, this is the story of my life at that point. And he's like, sure, yeah, you can get off here. And he let me off. And I walked into the dorm of my best friend, like one of my ex-girlfriend. I was really close with her, and she's the one who had introduced me to my roommate. I walked in, I told her I thought he was dead, but I'm alive, I'm here. And like 10 minutes later, my roommate walked through the same door. Grant, we lived in the financial district. We thought we were both dead. And an hour later, we appeared at the same friend's apartment, and he had to walk uptown. And it was just, miracles started to come in, but a lot more pain and suffering happen. And unfortunately, I was just, as you know, with mental illness or PTSD, and it was undiagnosed. Like I was self-medicating with drugs and alcohol, with cocaine, with pot, with anything. I was still in school. I was still interviewed. I was still being flown all over the world. I was getting the biggest auditions of my life, like the lead in Terminator 3 and this movie Party Monster. And there was just some major motion pictures that were coming up that I was meeting the head of DreamWorks and Fox, and yet I was crumbling inside. And I was in so much pain and I didn't know how to make it stop. And eventually I got arrested for buying pot. I was being followed by undercover. I wasn't. The delivery service, the weed delivery services they have around New York, was being followed by undercover cops. And I was in a kilt walking out on the street. My best friend and I were dating Scottish women and they were visiting. And we were in our kilts, proper Scottish style, which means
commando.
Yeah, commando. Nay knickers, as the Scots would say. And that helped me have my own cell for the night because I didn't have underwear on. My buddies brought me some pants and underwear. And then by the time I got out of jail, I was on CNN headline news. It was like, dude, you're getting a cell. And I had to go back to school the next day. I was now pretty much blacklisted from the entertainment industry. I was forced to wait tables again, where I was still famous and recognized and taunted. Like people were like, dude, why are you waiting tables? I'm like, I don't know, talk to the acting industry. Right now I've just been fucked. Excuse my language.
My gosh.
And I was in the darkest place in my life. And my dad really came in and saved me at that point. And he flew to New York. He helped me get a therapist. Luckily, I got into the experimental theater wing at NYU, which is a physically based performance program. And I got into my body and a lot of healing happened. I started doing yoga. But it wasn't another 10 years till I got sober and really was able to stop this chain of self-sabotage. And in that moment, I met my wife, which I was not trying to meet anyone then. And she was in wellness, and she had a really tough past as well. And we started a wellness company together, and we were both actors. She studied with Mike Nichols at, forget the name of the school off the top of my head, in New York when he was teaching. And she didn't know who the Dell guy was, so it kind of was perfect. And she thought I was gay at first, so that worked too. I was like, well, she knows I'm sensitive. She still loves me. I'm good, And we became coaches at Landmark together. I started teaching yoga. I became a personal trainer. I started getting acting roles again. And then I started coaching, and I noticed how good I felt being of service to other people, which is like, that's a big part of healing in the 12-step world and any world, I loved it. And then I'd say probably, 8 years later, I've gotten a lot of work and I've done better than ever. My wife and I started a band called Dirty May, and we've been touring the world. And then our band was on tour, and I was getting more roles because I was finally taking care of myself. And we got stuck in Maine in the pandemic, and our bandmate's family took us in. We lived there. We realized we loved nature, and it was very healing. And my coaching business really took off because I saw how much healing is needed right now more than ever, and how much so many of us are struggling. I mean, including myself. And I have all these I have a coach and a support system, and I've had therapists and accountability buddies and sponsors and friends, and yet still I was having a hard time. So I was imagining, well, what are all these other people dealing with, especially men in the world who don't have tools for coping because they were taught they had to suck it up and man up or show up, and women have a little bit more permission to cry and heal together in our society. So I really made it a mission to try to serve as many creative, sensitive people or people who didn't know where to go. And I work mainly with men now, but I just love helping humans. And that's really like full story. I mean, I could never get another acting role again, and yeah, I'd be really sad. I love performing. I just saw Sophie's Choice last night for the first time with Meryl Streep and Kevin Kline. I was like, my God, this is why we do this. This is good. You know, art is so healing. But I just, all this to say that to be a coach and hold space for people right now, and to be able to have conversations like this, and you know, as I'm speaking my truth, that's really what I hold space for other people to do. It's just been so healing, and I love it. And that's why I started, you know, I was posting a lot more videos, and you happen to see one, and then here we are.
Yeah, I didn't even know what you were talking about. I got a glimpse of you, and I felt there's a story. That's all I felt. I just got an overpowering feeling. This person has a story. And then I find out who you are. I don't know. I'm not a spy. I guess I was spying on Instagram, but only for a second.
Well, I'm glad if it caught you. I mean, it's like, you know, we're just trying to reach each other. So whatever if you're looking for something and it catches you, I believe if you see something or you hear someone or you hear a message and it speaks to your heart, you have to answer the call, you know, and you did that.
You and a lady on there replied right away. And I was like, whoever this is considering coming on for an interview, and like, this is so cool. And then I asked you for your intro, which is my way of saying I don't know who you are. And I get this thing that is like, blows me. I watched the Dell commercials, but I didn't put 1 and 2 together, 1 and 1 or whatever. I didn't make 2 out of it.
Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, well, it's so special. You're such a great listener too. I really, you know, as a comedian, I think, you know, so many of us get in, so many healers and comedians, we have a lot of people have a painful past, and it's how they've learned to make their message, or turn their pain into their purpose. And I think you've managed to do that by having this podcast too.
This comes out of a lot of pain, as does my comedy. But I started interviewing people in Portland, Oregon, my hometown, at Harvey's Comedy Club. Because they'd see that when people would come in the club, I'd be asking them questions and listening, and they go, you should interview the entertainment that comes through. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then I started doing it just like I'm talking to you. This is what I would do if we were at a coffee shop. You know,
oh, cool. You would sit here and listen to my life story for an hour. Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. And then the pandemic hit, and the world was I wasn't the only one suffering, you know. Yeah. The whole world and everybody's pain, it felt like it was on me. And when I have a daughter who hasn't spoke to me in 6.5 years. So when that pain is on me, I go out and try to make 100 people laugh in a day. But when the whole world's suffering with a pandemic, I was like, I got to up my game. I got to do something to this pain, you know, and this is what's come out of it. It's just letting other people talk.
Wow. That's really beautiful.
It's a joy. Joy. I had a very similar childhood, parents very different than yours, but same scenario. My parents went through the Holocaust.
Oh, wow.
And because of that, my dad really cared about the plight of people of color in America. And he would do many things he'd go down to City Hall and fight for their rights and tell them how they were mistreating them no better than the Nazis did in Nazi Germany. You know, my dad was that guy that anything that would come up, he'd remind people about the Nazis.
Good. Yeah. I mean, thank God for people that keep it real.
Thank you.
Right. There's a lot of, well, we won't go down that now, but you know, there's some correlations today too.
Yes.
Of how we're still not treating. I mean, there's still, it's painful to watch movies with my wife because I see how much she suffers still just as a woman.
Yes.
And like a beautiful white woman. So I can't, you know, to watch the pain and suffering of people of color, and
yes,
it's not in the country where we're, you know, supposed to be united and together. And I really believe the best way to learn is from each other. That's, you know, the gift of traveling and being with other cultures and other people. And the reason I talk about being with different races growing up. And I use the word Black because that's what my Black friends call themselves. You know, I don't mean to do any, I don't want to step over any labels or anything. You know, it just like white, you know, it's like we're all of many different descents and all from the same place, but we've not been all dealt the same hands. And so I also don't step over privilege. And, you know, my coach is, both my coaches actually are people of color. One's African American, one's Asian, and they both have encouraged me to use that privilege as a platform to speak up, because if people are listening, I believe you have a responsibility and you have an opportunity and to really try to help and help those less fortunate as well. And I think also in this time of the pandemic, especially if you're creative, you know, Linda, you're doing such beautiful work to create a podcast, to connect with people, to find ways to make people laugh. So many actors and artists and performers still don't know how to do that, or don't always have the tools for self-care or self-expression. And this is a time when we could really get more down on ourselves, or we could use this as a time of rebirth and start planting the seeds for what we do want and what we do care about. And that's really what I stand for as a coach, to help people start to heal and say what do they want. Like now there's a giant pause button kind of that's sort of been hit in America, you know, especially if you're an actor or performer. There's, you know, things have been scaled back a little bit, and there's an opportunity to really create your life newly. And that's the space I like to hold for people as a coach.
So as a coach, are you allowed by Landmark to coach people outside of Landmark?
Oh, well, I don't coach at Landmark anymore. So I was doing that there. That was just where I had gotten some training, but I've done a lot of different types of coaches training all over the world, in a lot of different modalities and healing and spirituality. So, I mean, Landmark is a very masculine entity. So I've done a lot of feminine energy studying as well, getting into the body and healing trauma. But it was, so in order to answer your question, it's separate. I do it on my own. I am my own business, if you should
Do
say.
I have a link to your coaching so that I can post it and have people consider it?
Yeah, I mean, the link tree is there.
Okay, I didn't look at it.
Yeah. So they can book a consultation with me there. They can also go to my website or see my YouTube page of you get a taste of what I do and who I am.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's all there. I can type it again for you if you want.
No, I have it. I
Okay.
just like, I don't go spy. I get it and I share it and I don't know what I'm sharing.
Oh,
I could
cool,
be
yeah.
sharing, I could be sharing, you know, articles about Ted Bundy and not know it.
Oh, okay. Well,
I'm very
glad
dressed.
to know what you're sharing now. That's good.
I'll share it. I promise you.
And so will I.
What is the biggest thing you want to still accomplish before your maker takes you home and returns you to sender, like Elvis?
Biggest thing I still want to accomplish.
And then I'll let you go.
Oh, that's great. I feel like it is a TED talk on like your sensitivity is your superpower. And also, you know, a lead in a major motion picture or television show that tells a story of someone really overcoming something great, and that really moves people, you know, beyond words. I've gotten to do a lot of theater like that, but I would really love to I want to reach more people. You know, I want to make a bigger impact on the planet, and I want to know that I did my best. And so, yeah, if I could just reach wider audiences, so I'm not just speaking on Facebook or Instagram, you know, I mean, this is such great platforms, but that's really it.
That's so cool. So, you know, my background in the military, being continually harassed, if not more, right?
Mm.
And so my passion now, and it's been a part of my own healing process, is to do comedy for military and veterans and then meet with them afterwards if they want and they're ready for it, to take all the crap they've stuffed, whatever they've been through in the military that they've stuffed and can't talk about, and turn it into comedy if they're ready.
Wow. That's awesome.
So
Wow.
I'm very linked up with your passion.
Oh my God, I love that. Oh, that means so much to me. I feel so moved. I must have been like fought some wars in my last life or something. I've always felt so connected to veterans. I played so many well, and I've studied.
So did I.
Yeah, I'm sure. In fact, I was just interviewing this woman, we were talking about masculinity because she grew up in a really abusive household. She was a competitive boxer and as a result and a weightlifter. And then she was on American Gladiator, and then she was in the military. And she just, has had such a hard time trying to find balance in her life. And we were just talking about healing. It's not like men or women. When I do a weekly series called Divine Masculine Mondays on Instagram, and I bring men and women because we all talk about just how to heal these different parts of ourselves and find balance. And I really love, I said pain into your purpose or your mess to your message. And I think, to be able to do that work with veterans and to allow them space to talk about it and to even allow people to laugh at it is so extraordinary, because it teaches you don't have to hide. And the very thing most people are avoiding is the very thing that's going to have them move forward in their life, and actually heal.
Absolutely.
I was just on a call with a client before this who was saying, I don't know. He said the pain is so bad that he's smoking a lot of pot, which a lot of people are right now. We're like, there's a lot of legalization. Everyone's at home in their pajamas from the waist down, and we're, and people don't have to show up fully, and they're numbing out more. And he said, I feel like I need it because the pain is just too much sometimes. And I'm trying to, I just can't deal. And I said, well, actually, if you were able to put this down long enough to deal with some of that pain, because one of the things he wanted to do was stop smoking pot, and he's about to be a new father too. And I was like, well, if you can put that down long enough to allow that pain to surface, then you can heal it. And then you'll be able to be a better father than ever, because you won't be carrying that pain with your child and still trying to numb it out. You can actually deal with it now before your child comes in this world, and, and you can heal it. And we even managed to find some laughter inside of some of those things. But, this is the real talk. And then this is the stuff that heals us.
Yes, it is. And facing your demons head on takes you to such a beautiful place where, and this is my phrase, where you can go from being in pieces to peace.
I love that. I love that. Pieces to peace.
I love being in the moment, and it's hard to be in the moment when you're running from the past.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Oh my God. I just realized I haven't released during the pandemic. It's on YouTube, but I have a one-man show, and it's, I never finished it. I did like a 20-minute version of it at Dixon Place Theater, and it was recorded, and it's called Dude, You're Going to Hell. And instead of Dude, You're Getting Adele. It's sort of my my journey from like, suffering to freedom again. And that's the story I wanted to tell, was like, how can we release suffering and give ourselves that permission? And so it's on YouTube. If anyone wants to watch, it's a 20-minute video. It's really, really powerful. The beginning's quite intense, but there is some comedy in there too. And there's magic and movement, and you'll see all the different modalities I work in.
And it's called Dude, You're Going to Hell?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. It was a few years ago, but it's on my YouTube page. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for this.
No. It is called Dude, You're Getting a Cell. It's that because that was the CNN tagline. In fact, I have I meant to bring it for this interview, but I have the like original newspaper post that has my mugshot and that tagline underneath it. And that was going to be the like flyer for my play,
That's so incredible.
Like
that person was a brilliant wordplay person.
Yeah, they were. Yeah,
That's
that's what
funny.
they get paid to do. Yeah,
It's like sitting all day. What should I do? Let's see.
yeah.
Dell, let me look that up in the
Tail, cell. Oh, perfect.
he gets a raise.
Franchise it. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
If you ever get that put on a t-shirt, I will want to buy one of your t-shirts.
Oh, that's a great idea. Maybe I will. That's awesome.
I'll be looking up all your links now that I've met you. I won't feel like I'm spying on you. I'll go to your coaching page. I'll subscribe to your YouTube. I'll follow you on Instagram, but I won't stalk you.
You can stalk me, Linda. You're pretty cool. I'll hang out with you. It's awesome.
Thank you so much, and bless you and your career and your wife. Do you have children?
Not yet. That's why we're doing the healing now, so we can have some like a little healthier family. Yeah.
Smart.
We really do want that. Well, we're really both working on ourselves a lot. My wife's about to produce her first solo album as a musician, and then our band will, we were touring while we could, and
What's the name of your band?
Dirty May, M-A-E.
Dirty May. Is
Mhm.
May your wife's first name?
No, her name's Cassie, but Dirty May is the what do we call it, Cassie? Gender it's sort of a gender neutral name. It's like everybody has kind of an inner Dirty May, like a sort of sassy, funky, gritty, kind of powerful female seductive energy, and that's very much our music. It's like it's really playful. There's like this New Orleans funky trombone vibe. It's gritty, it's bluesy, and both Cassie's really the lead singer, but myself and our bandmate Robin Frost, who we co-founded the band with, we all sing and write together in it. So that's also what makes the music really special, is that we really found each other also in a hard time. And the music that came out of it was just, the greater is the sum of all parts, right? And it's really a gift to make music with these guys. So we have an EP and a new album out called Holy Mama. It's all about embracing the dark and the light. And it's so fun.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I'll put this post out there again with all my thoughts, and again with all your links in your bio intro.
And if you just put Linktree, it has it says music at the bottom. Like you can listen to Dirty May on there. It'll take you to our website, or you can listen to Dirty May anywhere you stream music. We're there. But all my videos, if you want to talk, if you want to get on the phone, people can always send me a message on Facebook or Instagram. We can talk that way. I'm just here to spread the love.
That's so wonderful.
And
I feel
Linda,
like
clearly you are too. You're such a special human. I've got to interview you next.
All righty, I'm there, dude.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Deal.
Thank you, Ben.
I'll bring
Curtis.
you on my Divine Masculine Monday so you can talk about being a woman inside the military.
Okay, you got it. Okay. Tell Cassie I love her too. I didn't meet her or see her, but if she loves you, I love her.
Oh, you heard that? Oh, I'll tell her.
Okay, thank you.
Bye, Linda.
Bye.